Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you're listening to the podcast of two dads going through the journey of fatherhood while you all sit back and listen to us do it. And Brandon, I know this time in Michigan every single year, it seems like illness runs rampant. And when you got little kids, it's a little bit worse. And I know it's hit your house. It's definitely hit my house. So how are you feeling tonight, my friend?
I'm good. I'm just tired. We're recording this at 10:37 our time. Had a kid who was tossing and turning. Didn't want to wake the wife up. So, and that's kind of what we're gonna be talking about is adjusting to life with a couple kids and our responsibilities, things like that as well. So I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah, we did an episode similar to this about a year and a half ago when I kind of was first going through the adjustment of two, and then but Avery was at a younger age than KJ is now, and it's funny because I know I've kind of hinted over the last few months with you just kind of wait until KJ starts moving around, and I know he's at that point now, and I remember the first few months of Avery moving around, it just hits different. Two kids when they're both moving, it really changes the game. Not that it's not a lot beforehand, because trust me, it is. It's just it's a new level. I think you kind of settle into your groove, and then things change. But we'll get more into that here shortly. Before we do that, though, Brandon, you got a dad joke for us?
I do. We're gonna start off with this. This is another PG-13 joke, but we're gonna start the people off with a little laugh because I think this is funny. Jerry, how do you cancel an appointment at the sperm bank?
I have lots of things going through my head. Just go with it.
It's easy. You just call them up and tell them you can't come.
Nice. There you go. I don't know what the word Jack was in my head a lot. I don't know where. I don't know. So I'm glad that was good. That was good, Brandon. That was a good one. So mine's more PG than PG-13, but it's a little borderline. So we'll see. There's also a slight chance we've said it before. I don't think so, but it wouldn't surprise me if you told me we had two.
The fact that we can even consistently come up with new jokes on episode, what is this, 125? I think this is episode 125. I mean,
we're at like 300 plus dad jokes. I'm going to give us a pat on the
back. Yeah.
Yeah, with between guests and us doing 2 or 3 in the show, we're definitely over 300 at this point. So we should really compile them. That'd be a great. I don't think I have the time to go do that, but that'd be a great little thing to do is compile all our dad jokes.
I mean, we're really good, me especially, having ideas on while we're recording that we put out there and just never do. So let's add that one to the list.
We'll add that to the list.
Shout out to the videos on YouTube.
Exactly. That was funny. There's actually a review I saw the other day. Someone was complimenting us, but he put on there, do you guys have a YouTube link? And I literally almost sent it to you because I was like, well, at some point in time, we may.
Hey, we upload them to YouTube, just audio version.
Just the audio version, exactly. But what else has been going on, Brandon, in your household?
My update isn't too crazy this week, which is typically what I say before I ramble on for like 10 minutes. But right now the next time we talk, what's today's date? We'll probably be right. Well, actually, the next time we talk is probably going to be at or after KJ's first birthday. So,
oh man,
we're getting ready for that. It's funny because another one of our good friends had his daughter the day before. Okay, was it the day before or 2 days before? I think it was the day before that KJ was born.
Yep.
So I actually texted him before we started planning our party because it's their first kid and we run in the same circle. So I wanted people to be able to a degree prioritize his daughter's birthday over KJ's. We're also at the point, I'm not gonna hold you, I don't really care. I want him to be able to eat some cake. He's one. We're gonna be happy. We're gonna take.
It's
some
more
pictures.
for the parents and the grandparents than it is.
Man, Kelsey and I were talking about this the other day. I legitimately don't care if no one shows up.
Well, if it makes you feel better, Brandon, I got 2 that day. I got to go to yours, and then I go to my nephew's afterwards.
You don't have to come to mine.
So it's gonna be a day of birthdays.
Remember.
We got 2 in the same day.
Well, ironically, I can't go to his because I'm going to be at work.
Oh, really?
Kind of maneuver things around. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
the good news is Bryce, though, at this age, Bryce is at the age, at least KJ not quite yet, but he probably has fun. Seeing the other kids
absolutely.
having a good time. So that's why like going to the party isn't so bad. I say so bad like it's terrible, but like I don't mind because like it gives Peyton a chance, and Avery's kind of at the age now too. She likes to play with the other kids, so it's good to get them playing with the kids, and so the birthday parties don't bother me that much. When they're little, it's just kind of annoying because they don't care. So then you're just going out of the house and trying to like corral them the whole time. But when they get to be 1.5 and pretty much older, I think you're pretty good.
Yeah, but I got to clean my house and get it ready for people because we're doing it here. So I'm excited. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying that kind of sarcastically. It'll be fun. And it's just, it's crazy just to think over the last year, like how he's changed, how much different he is than Bryce, which we'll kind of get into. But we're excited. Hopefully if Kelsey's listening to this part, hopefully she's not driving because she's probably weeping as she's listening to it.
Oh yeah.
But from a household perspective, it's been pretty status quo. Where Bryce is, and we can rinse and repeat. He's
shampoo.
I normally say he's 95% like sweet and 5% like a little hoodlum, and that number is creeping closer and closer to 50-50 as time goes on.
I'd take 50-50.
Man, I'm telling you, and that's our biggest struggle right now is he has major bouts of just like not listening at all, and it's definitely trying, and we're working through it because it's like you end up questioning like your parenting, and you're looking up tips online, and you're trying to do everything to not pop him upside his head.
I will not smack my kid. I will not smack my kid. I will not smack my kid.
I'm trying to get to the point, and I'm not there, where, and we don't hit him, but like where it doesn't even cross my mind, because I know I don't want to do it, and I'm not going to do it.
But in the moment,
I can't turn off the fact that I'm like, man, I know you listen if I popped you on the butt real quick, and like you snap right to attention. But what is that ultimately solving? So for all the dads and moms out there listening right now, if you have kids in the 3-year-old range, I feel your pain right now, because it is like his mood determines the mood of the entire house other than KJ.
Yep.
Like if he's having a bad day,
it'll start determining KJ.
The problem, which we'll get into, but KJ is in clothes at 11 months that Bryce was wearing at like 16, 17 months. So, and KJ handsy. So Bryce got just a little bit more time before he gonna get them paws put on him. I'm gonna start getting mad, and I'm gonna send his brother to beat him
KJ
up.
on him.
Yeah. So, other than that, it's been. KJ's great. His teeth seem like they're like fully in, the ones that have broken through. So we've seen a definite change in his temperament over the past few weeks. One cool thing is, and these are the moments that you kind of sit back and I try to enjoy the moment, because I know someday Bryce isn't going to want to cuddle me, but bedtime is back to fully dad's, and I every night before he goes to bed, what we started doing, because we took him out of his crib and put him in his big boy bed, and it was the transition was an initial struggle, and he doesn't get much screen time during the day, but the one thing I use TikTok for, Jerry, is one day I found this marble racing guy on TikTok. He like sets up stuff. It's called like Cactus something racing. Can't remember, but he has like marbles that he races and like names them, and Bryce loves it. So we spent about 5 minutes before we cuddle in the bed, and we watch this guy. He like his live basically comes on every night as we're putting Bryce to bed. So Bryce and I watch that every night for about 5 minutes on TikTok. That's like the one person I follow on TikTok. So shout out to TikTok being back, because that would have put a damper in Bryce's mood.
You would have had to get marbles out and do it yourself.
It's I don't even remember how I came across that, but he happened to see it one day, and it was great. So I mean, really, that's been about it. It's been a pretty normal couple weeks. Nothing crazy happened. I'm sure we'll have much more to talk about the next time when we talk about KJ's first birthday that no one will come to.
Well, Brandon, our house has been. It's kind of funny, if anyone's been listening for a while, early on in Avery's life, Avery, we used to nickname her Angry Avery, and Avery was definitely with mom. She was a mom's girl, and Peyton was the daddy's girl. I rocked Peyton to sleep every night, and me and Avery butt heads a lot of times because she was just angry and did not do well with dad a lot of the times. But that has shifted completely. It's been a while, but I don't know if I've talked about it completely on the podcast, but Avery is full blown a daddy's girl, loves dad to death. I rock her to sleep every night. Have been for months and months. Peyton doesn't want me. She wants mom, and she's completely a mommy's girl now. So it's flipped, which is pretty great. Because Avery's at that stage, and you forget, when the kids get older, but she's at that stage where she's a toddler, but she's not yet like a little kid. She still looks like a toddler, and they're just so darn cute at that age. They just giggle and laugh, and they can kind of communicate and say things, but at the same time, it's like baby talk, and they're goofy, and they don't yet really get like embarrassed or like know, certain feelings yet or anything. So she's just at a great age. I love the age she's at. She's super fun. She's most of the time super happy. Yes, she has tantrums, but her tantrums usually are pretty short and not that bad. Every once in a while, she's on one, and it's Angry Avery all over again, and the whole world knows about it. But for the most part, she's been great and super fun lately, and she's saying a ton of things. She wants to play with Peyton. The kid loves to dance. Like, Peyton loves to dance and is girly, but Avery will dance by herself with no music and start making up songs out of nowhere. And it is hilarious. Like, the kid loves to dance and sing and just show off. She's a goof. She's completely a goof.
With Bryce and KJ then, because we dance every night.
Yeah, we dance all the time, and we have dance, but like usually we put music on. Like, Peyton loves Spidey music. We play Spidey on. The kids dance. It's great. Avery will just be randomly in the living room and just break into song and like do these crazy dance moves, and it's hilarious. She literally, and today I'm washing the dishes. She's playing a game. She stops, sees herself in the kitchen slider, so like a mirror, and she stops and just starts shaking her butt and goes, "Shake your booty, shake your booty," and like is just doing that for 5 minutes. And I'm like, "What are you doing right now?"
It's funny how you can, like, from her as a baby, you could tell she was the life of the party.
Oh, she is.
I think I told you that like 3 or 4 times. Like, this is who she's gonna be, and you're 4 or 5 months in at that point, and that's what you. I mean, that's it's crazy to me that you can see the personality even at that point.
Yeah, she's funny. She also, though, like, she's so sweet, but she is strong-willed like her sister. She loves nope right now, saying nope. You'll be like, "Peyton, do you want to?" Nope, and just like does have no regards about saying nope to anything she doesn't want to do. But she's been great. Peyton is a 3-year-old, so very similar to Bryce. When she's doing good, but she definitely rules the household, and her moods are crazy, up and down, tantrums, fits. The one good thing, though, and this is kind of good and bad, is I've definitely gotten to the point now where you can reason with her, but then you're like negotiating with a 3-year-old, which just infuriates me. And she knows what she's doing.
That's the hardest part.
She like now she like will want to play.
They're masters at it.
Oh, she's smart.
They know exactly
so I figured
what to
this
do.
out. When she goes to the bathroom, when she has to go number 2, we would give her kid tablet. That's the only time she gets it. Like, we never give it to her any other time. And like, if we went on a trip, we might. But like, and she started like saying she had to go poop just so she could play her tablet. And I figured it out pretty quick, but she still does it now. So now I literally know her tell. Like, today, she's like, "Dad, I have to go to the bathroom." I'm like, "Do you?" I said, "Okay, let's go, but no tablet." "I don't have to go." "Yeah, no joke. You don't have to go." So she, I mean, stuff like the other day, she wouldn't eat her spaghetti, and I know she loves spaghetti, but she just randomly decided she didn't want it. And she wanted, I can't remember, something else. And I'm like, "If you eat 3 bites, I will give you something else." Because I knew if she ate 3 bites, she'd be in. She goes, "No, 2 bites, Dad." I'm like, "Why am I negotiating with you?" She negotiates.
She gets it honest. You're in the car business.
Yeah, she does. But it is kind of funny though, because every once in a while she'll do stuff like that. She'll be like, I'll be like 5 bites. She'll be like 3 bites. I'll be like 2 bites. She'll be like 7 bites. Like she doesn't quite get. So I'll be like, fine, 7 bites. But she's doing good. Though a negative thing though is she like randomly has kind of started, not very often, but once in a while she's kind of mean to Avery. Like she'll just randomly decide that she wants to be mean to her sister and like take something away from her or tell her she can't do something and like boss her around. And I know that's a part of kids acting out, but that's like been kind of hard because Avery's super sweet at this age and wants to just play with their big sister. But and it's not all the time, because most of the time Peyton's really nice to her, but every once in a while she's just kind of mean, and so I don't love that. But other than that, the household got sick, so Avery was super sick, Peyton was super sick, just like snotty, cold, coughing really bad, not like vomiting or anything like that, or having to go to the doctors, but it ran through the house. It was kind of a little bit of a nightmare, and then of course it hit me, so that's not fun. But I'm the last one trying to get over it right now. Although Macy, I think, maybe starting to get it, which isn't good either. But we're getting through that. And then the last point is my mom. This is kind of cool actually for today's topic, Brandon. But my mom for Christmas, got Peyton tickets to Disney on Ice. Her and a couple of her cousins. So she took Peyton overnight, so she could take her in the morning to Disney on Ice, which meant that we had the night with Avery by herself, which I don't think that's ever happened. Like, it's always both of them. And then we've had a couple nights without them when we were away, but it was kind of like Avery was an only child. And this kid, I will tell you, she loved it. She thought it was great. Like all the attention was on her. She was living her best life. And the funny part though, Brandon, and I'm by no means anyone out there who's a parent who has one kid. I am not saying it's easy. It's not easy at all. But when you're used to having 2 and it went down to 1, the just difference was astounding to me. I was like, I can do this. Like, it was just focus all your attention on the one, or Macy, hey, pay attention to Avery. I'm going to go do the dishes. It was just funny getting back to that after a year and a half of not having it. So it was kind of a cool experience. Peyton had a great time at Disney on Ice. We all went out to lunch the next day for my mom's birthday, and the kids were good there, and we got to play with their cousins. So it was a win-win, but it was kind of fun to have Avery to ourselves because he's never been, like an only kid. She's always been with Peyton.
Think about that.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. So if you guys get a chance at one point when your grandparents want Bryce for a night, I recommend it. It actually was. It was a lot of fun to kind of see how Avery acted by herself and getting all mom and dad's attention. So it was a good time.
I got a bad feeling that if they had Bryce for one night, they would want Bryce for no more nights.
I don't. I hear you on that.
Not like new situations, but it's something we gotta do.
Well, sometimes they do better though for grandparents, like Peyton does. Like I don't know, but we'll see. Brandon, you got a piece of baby gear this week?
I do. Bryce's new thing is a fire truck floor puzzle, and he's super into puzzles right now. He does one. I think my mom has like 50 puzzles at her house. They do them, but I hadn't done that many puzzles with him. That's always been kind of the thing he did with my mom. Kelsey occasionally did it with him, and he's good at these puzzles. Like it puts them together by himself. Super proud of himself. Some of them are more complex than you actually think, but he has a Melissa and Doug, I believe it is, fire truck floor puzzle. That, I mean, he could, if he closed his eyes and put that thing together, he could do it. So he's definitely going through a phase where that's one of those things he really likes doing by himself. He doesn't want help. He cannot stand if KJ crawls over. We got to kind of contain KJ when Bryce is doing his puzzle. Because KJ will come over and absolutely like mess him up. And I kind of feel his pain on that one. There's some forced and non-forced playing together that happen a ton at the house, but when Bryce is having his puzzle time, he's super focused on it, and he's not into something he shouldn't be into, or being defiant. So it's a win for us. So we try to keep KJ away until he at least finishes it. But the Melissa and Doug fire truck floor puzzle, there's a ton of floor puzzles you can look up to. It doesn't have to be that.
That's
he loves it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome that he stays focused and stuff like that. Peyton likes puzzles as well, and we have quite a few different ones. some that are teaching one, some that are actual just puzzles, and she always wants to do them, but she's got her dad's attention span, and so she like wants to start it and then go do something else, and then all the pieces are on the floor, and I can't leave things incomplete. So then naturally I'm stuck finishing the puzzle by myself constantly because it just drives me nuts. But I think
almost the exact opposite. Like he almost focuses to the point that it's annoying because you try to get him off of something or to pay attention and listen. Half of the not listening is because he's so focused on whatever he's doing in the moment.
He's into that.
That comes. We need to be more patient from that aspect. Like I can kind of recognize what's going on, so I have to walk over and like actually touch him and so he understands. Hey,
that is good that he's doing it though, because Peyton does not have the attention span to stay there. She wants you to do it, but she just doesn't. But I actually kind of my baby gear is similar, a little bit different. But I know we both have magnet tiles, and I love magnet tiles. But something that I got Peyton for Christmas is kind of similar, but a little bit different, and they're like magnetic blocks. Like little magnetic blocks. The ones I have are from Toyology. It's a 48-piece set on Amazon. It's like $20. They're not expensive. There's a million different ones out there, but they're little blocks and they're magnets, and you can stack them, build different things, play with them. And both Avery and Peyton love these things. And they don't take up a lot of space because they're small blocks. They're not big blocks. And, it kind of teaches them to learn, different colors because they're all different colors, how to build different things, and I think it's good for motor skills and stuff like that. But it's a cool gift. They're kind of fun. I catch myself playing with them sometimes when they're out. So, Amazon's got a million different ones. I got the one from Toyology that's 48 pieces just because it was a lot of pieces. It had a bag and it had a lot of different colors. So I wanted to use it to teach Avery some color stuff. So that's my piece of baby gear for the week, Brandon.
Bryce is finally into magnet tiles more. Now, I hate those things. I can't stand them.
Really?
I
love them.
You talking to someone? I wasn't a Lego guy at all.
Oh, I was.
And these magnet tiles, I'm like, that is. I have a decent level of talent in certain aspects. The whole building.
You're not an engineer.
Architecture. Like the Lego stuff, that has never been something that I'm good at. And Bryce might be better in the magnet tiles than I am.
We built a racetrack. We built a racetrack the other day. Bryce probably would have loved that.
He has the racetrack. I came home the other day and they had a racetrack built off of the ottoman onto the floor.
I built like a ramp.
Rolling them.
These are like just custom ones. I built like a custom ramp, and then like we had like a little car, and we were like racing them down there and into the nugget couch. That was our backstop to kind of catch it. But that's funny.
He knows what he's doing. But he
kids
ain't
do
like
them.
From Dad on that. Yeah.
Well, that's a good place for us to probably get into today's topic, Brandon. Kind of life with two. Anyone out there that either has multiple kids can probably relate to this, or maybe you're expecting a second or thinking about having a second. It's kind of a good place to check in. With what are the differences between 1 and 2, and especially because like I said, we had an earlier episode where I kind of went over some things, but it was very early on. Brandon's about to have 2 with the KJ, the youngest, being 1, so a little bit later in the game, and then obviously I can speak to it with having a 20-month-old or 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old as well. So I guess to start, Brandon, a year into this, what would you say is the biggest difference that maybe you didn't see coming, or what's the biggest change in your guys' lifestyle that's, I guess, unexpected from the normal?
Right now is just the constant, the math isn't right. So you go from 1 to 2, and you think that everything just might double to a degree. I feel like it's some days it feels like it multiplied by like 7.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You hear that from people, but I don't know if you fully appreciate what that means. And truthfully, the brunt of that more than anything else has been on Kelsey, even more than me. But I mean, I come home, and most days is immediately going and seeing what needs to be done, jumping on that. Even with Bryce, I knew what I had to do from a daily basis, but you just felt like you had more time. Like it's the constant feeling of I don't have enough time to finish doing what I'm doing. You gotta get 2 kids fed. Shout out to her, she handles that most of the time. You got to clean up after both of them. We got bottles for KJ. You got cups for Bryce. You got dishes for both. So that aspect, like the multiplier, isn't multiplying the way I thought it would in my head to a degree. So I'd say that's probably the most surprising.
It's funny you said that because I like I said, I've been driving more for work lately, and I've been listening back to some older podcasts, usually like 1 or 2 a week, and I listened to the one that was kind of similar to what we're doing today, and you asked me basically that same question, and my answer was almost verbatim what you just said. So I guess, whether it was you have a young second child or an older
episode again,
yeah,
so
exactly. Time is exactly the biggest. I mean, I would agree with that. Your time is just different, and you get kind of used to it. But going to having just Avery, like I said the other day, I just didn't realize. It almost was like a shock to the system. Like, oh man, this really is a lot different. It felt like we had a lot more time. The day went a little bit slower. The afternoon, so definitely that. One thing also that I kind of thought of while preparing for this episode and listening back to that old one is kind of a sad thing, a little bit. Maybe it's not that bad, but like one thing that I definitely didn't realize is I feel like I do a lot less research now than I did with just Peyton. And not just because like, oh, I had a kid, so I know it all.
True.
But I feel like because of the time thing, you don't look stuff up as much. So now it sounds bad. Like we're teaching Avery, colors and numbers, but like before it was like, oh, I know at this age I should be teaching this, or at this age they say that this is important, or hey, we should be working on these skills now. With Avery, it's just kind of like we'll stumble like, we haven't done this in a minute. Let's start working on these things, and it's less like I guess scientifically backed or on a schedule, and more of kind of going through it as we go through it. That being said, at her age, I would say Avery's probably ahead of where Peyton was. Her speech definitely is, without a question. And Avery's pretty good. Like she's already counting to a few numbers. Not crazy, but she can count to 3. She knows a lot of colors. She knows characters. She knows animals. Like so, she seems to be doing fairly well. But I feel like as a parent, maybe I'm not working on some of the things quite on the same schedule. If that makes sense, Brandon.
It does, and along those same lines, I feel the same way about KJ's progression, and some of it's physical stuff. But even, I mean, at this age, he's saying dad, mama. He's super in it. I probably should have put this in the update, in the pointing, and he's recognizing things. I think at a level that Bryce wasn't at yet. But the other thing with time is. You get, I feel guilt sometimes about how much one-on-one time Bryce got. I mean, he was only one, and
right.
And how I feel like I can't give KJ at like the same amount of time, but along those same lines, I feel like I'm not giving Bryce enough attention because I'm trying to focus on giving KJ one-on-one time too. So that's a struggle that goes along with this as well. It's you feel like you're giving half as much as you should for both kids.
Do you ever feel like
tough? But then you look up, like you said, and you see the progress at the end of the day. So
Brandon, did you think maybe like once you had a second kid, because the second kid, the younger one, and like the newborn and the baby and stuff, that one would need more attention, and then because I thought that, and I don't know about you. But it was the exact opposite. It's the older one that needs more attention. The younger
KJ's
one actually
plug
needs
and
less.
play. I can sit him down. Right. Now I gotta watch him out of the corner of my eye and make sure because he's going everywhere, that he doesn't like get into something. But he doesn't really whine unless something's wrong. Bryce is the one who you gotta, and that goes to the temperament of the kid as well. But KJ is much more easygoing than Bryce is.
Yeah, so it is funny because I feel like almost like the younger one, especially after like the newborn phase, is almost the easier one to manage. On a positive note, Brandon, I will say that one of the things about having multiple kids, and I think as a parent, selfishly, I wanted multiple kids. Like I always did, so I do want multiple kids. But another thing is I wanted multiple kids because I grew up with a lot of siblings. and having siblings is pretty awesome, because it's almost like a built-in friend, but not just a friend, but someone that goes through the exact same things you're going through. Like nobody else experiences your home life like your siblings do. And so to me, it's really
Dad
cool.
Sucks today.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can complain about dad, you can complain about mom, or like it's funny because we used to do that growing up, and now our kids are gonna do that about us. But that's good. Like they get a chance to whine about their parents together, or maybe have our backs once in a while. Like, well, you're kind of being a jerk to dad, Like I don't know, but like they get to have that special relationship. And that's been cool because now, like I said, Avery and Peyton are starting to not just play like kind of side by side, but actually play together and want to interact with each other, and and give each other hugs all the time. They dance together. They play with certain toys together. Peyton's convinced it's her baby half the time. She says, "That's my baby," like all the time. Like, so it's fun because you're starting to see that relationship form, and that's something as a parent that even though two's more work, it's cool because every once in a while you get those moments that when you had one, you don't have that. You don't have that interaction that's built in. Well, you have built-in interaction. Now, they fight more than I would have thought for two young girls, but they also have a lot of fun together, too, in some sweet moments.
Yeah, and along those same lines, another thing we were aware of, I'd say, I don't know if we were worried about it. We were worried a little bit, was how would Bryce step into that big brother role. And that's been an area that, he's 10 out of 10. He's the best big brother. He looks out for KJ. If he thinks something is wrong, he's trying to find a way to make it right for KJ. And it's just fun to watch him step into that role. And I shared the video with you, I think, when we first took him home. Like, it was from the very beginning. Now, there's certain things that he doesn't realize he could potentially hurt him. But they're not ill-intentioned at all. So it's kind of just a learning curve. But if he's crying, he finds a passy and puts it in KJ's mouth. And if there's a time I can get him to listen, like 100% of the time, is if I'm asking him for help and it's related to KJ. So can you get this for me and give it to KJ? Or can you take that away from KJ? The big brother version of Bryce, he gets gold stars all day long. The way they interact, you can see the friendship budding. You can see the way that KJ looks at his big brother. Those are the moments that are just kind of you got to sit back and just enjoy. But what's funny, Kelsey brought this up the other day, is Bryce has always done a good job of playing independently. They do a good job playing together as long as it's not related to Bryce's puzzle. Bryce will take his time and show KJ how things work. And Bryce kind of has an analytical mind in that regard. Like I think he gets this from my dad. Like my dad would go around, and this was super annoying early on because I had like a 2-year-old that knew how to, or 1 and 2-year-old knew how to do stuff they shouldn't do. But my dad is like not only showing him to do something, but how it worked. And I can see him doing the exact same stuff with KJ with certain toys, which is cool. But you would think that KJ always having Bryce around, him playing would be like always related to Bryce. At least, I don't know why I would think that, but in my mind I would. And it's crazy to me how content KJ is playing solo as well, and they can be in their own little areas just in the same room doing that too. So that's been their brotherhood has been something that's been super fun to watch too.
That's funny you said that because I would 100% say Avery is more okay playing independently than Peyton is. Not that Peyton doesn't play independently, but when Peyton will want to play with Avery sometimes, and Avery's like, nope. She's like doing her own thing, and then Peyton gets really upset, where Avery will play with Peyton, but it's when Avery wants to. But if she's doing her own thing, she will tell Peyton, like, nah, I'm not playing that game right now. And then that makes Peyton mad because Peyton thinks it's like, her kid or her toy that Avery's going to do whatever she wants her to do, which Avery won't. She'll stand up to her. But Brandon, two areas when I think of having two versus one that I think drastically changed, and at least in our lives, and I'm curious to see if you think it's kind of the same too. But when I think of like changes, I think of food time, so dinner time or lunch, and bedtime. Those are two definitely times of the day that I feel like two versus one, there was a drastic change. Was there a change for you guys with those two times?
Absolutely. It's almost like you and I are reading from the same notes because
Okay.
mealtime was the next thing that I had written down. So for both of those specifically, part of it is the age that your kids are at, and what they can eat and what they're eating. So one thing that Kelsey has been really big on lately, and we didn't do a good job of this in the beginning, but making sure that we sit down as a family at the table for dinner. If you do the research on it, that has a good long-term effect on not only just your kids, but everyone in the family as well, but especially your kids. But so that actually is a change to the positive. But I mean, for a while, it was survival of the fittest because you got a 2 to 3 year old that's figuring out that they can say no to what they want to eat and don't want to eat, and most of the time it's no, even if they just told you to make exactly what you're putting in front of them. And then KJ will eat literally anything. I can put a pencil sharpener in front of that kid, and he would try to consume it and figure out how he can eat it. So for me, I think that was more about the personality of the kid. But the addition of another kid is that much more work because you might be making two completely different meals for them. You have the meal for Bryce, which might turn into 3 different attempts at doing something, and then KJ is on a stricter diet, and you're trying to introduce the new foods to him as well. While you're also at this stage,
and then the cleanup.
The cleanup is crazy. Luckily, this is where a dog actually comes in handy. I know you don't like Raja eating people food, but
I can't avoid it anymore. There's nothing. I mean, the kid just like Avery just feeds her, which drives me nuts. But yeah, it definitely
KJ
is.
figured that out early on, but it's also keeping the second kid at our stage away from some of Bryce's food because he's not ready to eat it yet. So it's definitely been interesting. As far as bedtime, that's been a huge difference. With Bryce, we for the first year and a half of his life, we would rock him to sleep like in the rocking chair in his nursery 5 out of 7 days in a week at least. KJ has been. I don't think I've rocked KJ to sleep. I think I can count on 2 hands how many times I've actually rocked him to sleep in that rocking chair. He normally gets put down in the room, and it's a struggle to see if he's gonna stay where he's at or not. And from a sleep perspective, it's the constant taking him out, grabbing them, putting them in the bed with you, holding them. P.S. You're not supposed to have your kids in your bed with you. But I don't fall asleep. I can't fall asleep with him in the bed with me. I'm like paranoid. But so it's that constant back and forth because his sleep is way worse than Bryce's from like the actual stretches that we get still to this day. So that's been way more of a struggle. But like the food thing, I think that might be more about the kid we're talking about, and then we don't have the time, so we split it up. Kelsey puts KJ to bed, so I get way less KJ nighttime until he wakes up for the first time, and then I'm struggling with him until like midnight or 12:30. And I mean, he was just awake earlier before we started recording,
right?
And had just woken up. And then, but the beauty of it is I get 100% Bryce, and the time that I feel like I'm missing during the day when I'm at home because I'm giving KJ some additional attention is I can make up for some of that when I'm putting Bryce to bed. So it's definitely different and definitely changed what we've been doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one, I'll tell you, enjoy the KJ eating everything in front of him phase, and I hope he stays that way. But that's how Avery was, and now she's pickier than Peyton. And I said earlier, I've done less of this, but I did do research on this, and I found out, and I remember this from an old episode too, that kids start getting picky between 15 and 18 months. So not to put that on you, but that was 100% accurate with Avery. She went from eating everything to now that kid, she drives me nuts. And I remember Peyton went through it too, and she's still picky, but it's less. Like I think they just go through it. They figure out, they like you said, they figure out they can say no. And they're like, well, I like this better. Even if they like whatever's in front of them, they're going to, I don't know. The worst thing with Avery is she touches it and then puts it through her hair.
Don't tell me what you want and then tell me, I don't like that as soon as I give it to you.
I don't like that. That's not my favorite. That's Peyton all the time. That's not my favorite. I don't care if it's your favorite. You're going to eat it. So I agree. But, another thing too, Brandon, you mentioned the bedtime thing. It is nice because those bedtime moments are some great time, especially as dads, if you're at work, to spend like quality time with your kid. And that's been nice for me because it was Peyton for so long. And now with Avery, I think that's really helped our relationship because, like I said, I've been putting her to bed for, it's got to be like 6 months now. And she's really good at bedtime now. She didn't used to be. And so that's been really fun for me. Another area that I noticed that is kind of difficult or a big change from going from 1 to 2, Brandon, is what I'll call travel, but basically leaving the house. With 1, there's still a lot. You still got a diaper bag. You still got to get the car seat ready. You still got to get the kid ready. I mean, it's still a lot to leave the house. But you basically spend all your time and energy worrying about the 1 kid and getting them together. Now, with it being 2, you got to make sure they're both dressed. You got to make sure they got both have extra pairs of outfits in the diaper bag. You got diapers for both of them. You got what they both need. If the one grabs a toy, then the other one's losing her mind because she wanted a toy. And then you get them in the car, and maybe the one's okay, but the other one starts crying, so the other one starts crying, and then you got to get them by. It's a lot, and definitely with 2 parents, you almost have to be like, I usually will take Avery because she sits behind me, and Macy will take Peyton when we go places. But basically, once we park, I get Avery and all her stuff. Macy gets Peyton and all her stuff. And we try to make sure we have everything we need. But travel can be tricky with 2. It can be a lot. And it's crazy how much stuff we have for 2 like toddlers, let alone, they're not grown kids or anything yet. But 2 toddlers take up a lot of space.
So, and it kind of keeps coming back to the time thing. But the amount of how much longer it takes me, because I drop the kids off every morning, and how much longer it takes me to get out of the house with both of those kids is incredibly different between when I just had Bryce. And without fail, I can ask Bryce, does he have to go poop 50 times before we leave? And if I am in any kind of rush, and I'm not joking, he shoots like 95% at this, then as we trying to walk out the door, Daddy, I gotta go, and it ain't nothing I can do. Like
no, because you gotta take
that boy take a strong 7 minutes minimum to get it out, and he's still going. He ain't in there faking. So that's like the biggest annoyance. But
that's awesome.
A big source of anxiety for me, I didn't even think about until you just start bringing this up, is KJ. I think it's hard now. KJ's in the freaking easy button carrier that I can just latch in. I don't have to have him out, and that's about to go away within a matter of months. So that's going to be a problem with Dad by himself. Getting
even from a
school.
car seat standpoint, like if you ever change cars, it's a pain. Like I swear we own like 5 car seats, but somehow I'm always moving a car seat from my car to my mother-in-law's car to Macy's car. It's like insane. I don't understand how I bought all these car seats and I never have 2 car seats in my car. And that's a pain, especially because like you said, the infant one's easy to like touch and move into another car. No, those other ones are kind of a pain, especially like in the winter. That's the worst. Like it's winter right now, and it's always like in the morning, hey, can you move this car seat? And I'm like, yes. But it's freezing and cold, and it is a pain to get them in it too, because they always want to move and like fight you when you're putting them in a car seat. I don't know what it is, but they like are just like screaming bloody murder as you're putting them in a car seat.
Yeah, I am not. The one benefit is that if I had to bet money, KJ's going to be walking within the next month. And it's going to start warming up. and that's probably gonna coincide when this actually starts happening. So I can probably within the next like 4 or 5 months get away with like him semi walking, semi carrying him to the car just to make it a little bit easier. But I'm definitely going to be taking like 4 trips every morning back and forth to my truck.
Yeah, it is. Kind of a last thing that I'll kind of go over, Brandon, is with the 2 kids. You know, it's obviously a big change. Going from 1 to 2, and you kind of get, like I said, you get kind of used to it. You just was what happens. It becomes every single day life. But you know, it is interesting because instead of being able to focus on the one and what they're going through, it never seems to coincide, right? Like just because one's going through something doesn't mean the other one's not going through something, and it can happen at the same time. They could both be being great at the same time, you know. But it does feed into everything in the house, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So like if Avery's being great and cute, but Peyton's being bad, it's like you don't get to enjoy that, you know, because you're dealing with the one. And then if she's being good and the other one's being crazy, and then if they're both it's almost like you're playing Russian roulette, but it's you got to enjoy the moments when they're both happy and they're both on the same page, because oftentimes everyone's on a different page and you're trying to just get everyone to, you know, enjoy the time and have fun and do whatever you're trying to do. Because that's the other thing too. Like you might be like, hey, let's do this activity. And the one kid's like, yes, like you'll start getting there, but like, let's color. And Peyton's like, I want to color. And then Avery's like, nope. And so, you know, you're trying to color and then you're trying to deal with her. And then it's like, so that's a challenge too, is trying to get them to both want to do the same activity. And speaking of activities, you know, like with Peyton, we were like, oh, let's do soccer, right? Let's do gymnastics, right? And then you had these time, but now it's like, okay, we want to do stuff with Avery too. But then if you're doing something with Avery, you got to worry about what Peyton's doing because they can't necessarily do the same things at the same time. So that's a little bit of a struggle too, because you want both kids to have
2 hours
stuff
instead of 1.
Yeah, It's a little bit of a balancing act. You'll find, you know, and I guess what I'll say is you find your groove and it becomes normal. Like you just embrace the chaos. But it's definitely, like you said, time and then balancing it all out is kind of the biggest differences that I definitely noticed. All that being said, and I'm sure you're the same, Brandon, I want to change it for the world. It's chaos, but it's a lot of fun, and definitely seeing them together. But even like just it's fun because you get to go back and see Avery at those ages that Peyton was in before, and you're like remembering things. And it's like, this is great. And then everything Peyton does is the first time, and that's always great. So it is really kind of cool to get to have 2 different experiences. And when Peyton's being kind of a meanie, then Avery's a sweet little girl, and I get to cuddle her up, right? Or if Avery's losing her mind, then Peyton can kind of go like, Dad, Avery's angry right now. She's kind of being a lot. And you'd be like, yeah, you could kind of talk to her about that. So I don't know. It's fun. Is basically what I'm getting at.
I absolutely know when both of them are having great days, because those are the times, or great moments, because those are the times I'm pulling my phone out and I'm looking at Kelsey and I'm taking a video and we're looking at each other like, can you believe that this is us and we did this? So you definitely feel it when everything is moving in cohesion in the house. And those are the times where you're like, man, you know what? I could have another one. But those moments are few and far between lately. So I don't know if number 3 coming anytime soon. Hopefully Kelsey stopped listening at this point because she won number 3.
Yeah, it is funny how girls are just, I think, a little bit different, because Macy all the time, the kids will be just being psychopaths.
They legitimately have amnesia.
Yeah, it's like 2 seconds later.
From like exactly. Yeah,
2 seconds it's crazy. It'll literally, they both are crazy, and she'll look at me and be like, I can't deal with them right now. And then it'll be like 2 minutes later, and she'll be like, oh, I want another one. And I'll be like, what? Where were we?
Bryce could literally hold me up at gunpoint. And 4 seconds later, Kelsey will be like, I want another baby. Like,
it is
trying to kill me.
And then you're outnumbered, because that's when you have to go from playing man to man to a zone, because
I was not good at algebra, calculus, trigonometry. That math ain't mathing for me.
Yeah, you got to hire an in-house nanny.
Good at algebra and trigonometry. Oh my God.
All right, Brandon. Well, that's a good place to stop. Obviously, right now we both got 2. It will be funny if we any of us have more kids and we start talking about the difference between 3 and 2. And there's probably people out there listening with 3, 4, 5 kids, and they're laughing at us, because I'm sure it don't get easier. I'm sure it just gets harder. So
I can tell you, it ain't gonna be me no times.
We'll see, Brandon. We'll see. But I got a dad joke for you. You ready?
I'm waiting with bated breath.
Brandon, what do you call a male potato?
Stud.
Dictator.
I think you did do that before, and I think
I feel like I might have, but that's funny. I don't care. That's funny.
We had a sperm bank joke and a dick joke.
That's what I said. It's kind of like PG-13.
It was related. We were working off the same list today.
We were on the same list. But yeah, Brandon, it is funny looking back. Like you said,
Dictator's funny.
It's funny.
Dictator's funny.
125 episodes, 300 dad jokes in or whatever we are. We started this out. Neither one of us had a kid. We both got 2 kids now. You're about to have your second kid be 1. I remember when Bryce was turning 1. He was the first one to hit 1. It's crazy how time flies, and definitely parenthood. It goes by fast, man. It makes time go by crazy fast. But for anyone, if this is your first time listening, we definitely appreciate you. Please go back and listen to older episodes. If you've been listening since the beginning, we really, really appreciate you. If you haven't already, please like us on all our social media. Leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to us on. Tell your friends. Drop our name on different threads or anything like that. We like every single listener we can get. And then obviously, if you have any questions, recommendations, or comments, always message us. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. But until next time, as always, I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you've been listening to Dad Jokes.